everybody. Welcome back. I know I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus. I was sort of between jobs and just trying to line everything up, so I wasn't doing the videos, but I'm back on track. And what I think I'm going to do is probably record a few of them a day, and then that way I can release them each day and not fall behind again. You know, should something pick up with work or things just come up or whatever, I want to make sure I'm putting them out more regularly. So that is my goal. And I had something really interesting happen to me, and I want to say this before I get back into 12 laws of being human. And so we're on chapter 3 now. Well, sort of mentioned it in chapter 2. Basically, things just sort of happen for a reason. And so on Friday, I had a friend of mine reach out to me out of the blue, and he was like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's the one I used to work with. And I was like, "Oh, wow, I hadn't heard from him in a while." I was like, "Okay, cool." So we started talking and, messaging. And then he was asking me about jobs, things like that. And I said, well, it'd be better if you just, called me. It's too much to text. So he calls me. He says, "I have time now." So we chatted, and then I mentioned, I was kind of looking for a job that would, in my line of work. And he said, "Oh, well, if you want to apply at my company, this is what they're listed at in your state, listed as." So I said, okay. Got off the phone with him, and I went ahead and I found a job I wanted to apply for. So I was on my way. I had some errands to run, some things to do, so I didn't apply right then. I waited till I came home. And so I came home, started to apply. They needed my license number for what I do. So I put it in, and they wanted the expiration date. And I knew the expiration date was April 2024 because my company had just paid it in April, and I had verified that after the fact to make sure my due date was corrected to April of 2024. So when I went in, I noticed my due date had changed to 8/31. Yeah, 8/31, and that day, Friday, was September 1st. So my license was past due. So I completely panicked, and I paid the money. It's a couple $100. I paid it, and I reached out via chat to, the AAPC, and I got this really nice girl on, and I explained everything. I said, "I don't understand, this was paid." And she said, "Well, sometimes companies will do that. They'll just cut the membership." Well, the problem was I didn't receive communication on that. I had no idea. So after a lot of going back and forth, she said, "I'll get this worked out. We're going to see if we can bump your expiration date back to April," because the problem with them putting it in August again was they wanted all of my continuing education units done. I don't have them done, and I didn't know how long they were going to give me to do them should they hold me to that August deadline. So needless to say, this is my livelihood, and I was in complete panic. So she said she would, try and see what she could do. And of course, it was a long weekend. And so I got done chatting with her, and I was an absolute wreck. Anyone who knows me knows I was a mess. I was really panicked because I was starting another job. I'm applying for other jobs, and if I don't have a valid license, I can't do those jobs. And so there came a point. I remember I looked at my husband. I said, "You know what? I can't do this. I can't worry. I cannot stress myself out anymore, because what am I going to do? It's a long weekend. Am I going to stay completely crazy all weekend, or am I going to just let it go? It's going to be how it's going to be. There's literally nothing else I can do. Worrying wasn't going to change it." And that's something that was always so difficult for me to get to. But this is what I mean. After practicing and practicing, it really, you can get there. And I did. I let it go. I said, "I'm not going to worry about it. There's nothing I can do until Tuesday." So, and that felt really, really empowering. And I felt great about it. And I think it was later that night, I was talking to my husband about what happens if I need to, get these CEUs done. And so he started breaking it down for me. What if you do 3 tomorrow? What if you do 3, Sunday? What if you do, how many? And I said, well, I can do all of that. The problem is I don't know how long they're going to give me to do it. So I said, I think I've already done a couple though. I said, let me log in. So I pulled up my phone, I logged in, and I noticed I had done 2, and I was like, all right, well, there's 2 down. But the thing that caught my eye was the due date had already reverted back to April of 2024, and my CEUs aren't due until April of 2024. And it just felt incredible because let's say I had stayed incredibly stressed up until that point. That wasn't going to change my outcome. So I actually was able to enjoy my night and started, my husband and I started troubleshooting. Okay, well, worst case scenario, this is what we're going to do. We were trying to come up with a plan. And, things do happen for a reason, because when my friend reached out to me, I hadn't spoken to him in a while, and it was sort of out of the blue that he said, hey, how's it going? And had he not done that, and had we not talked about a job at his company, I wouldn't know, right now here today, I would not know that my license had expired. I would have no idea whatsoever. So somehow, some way, even though it caused me a little bit of stress, it was like, oh, yeah, the universe has my back. These things do happen for a reason. Things do work out the way they're supposed to. And so it was just, not everything happens that way. Not everything works out that way. But I do want to emphasize how great it felt to just be able to let that go and still enjoy my night, and came to that realization of what's worrying going to do. Easier said than done. I get it. I've spent my entire life struggling to get to this point. And had it been something bigger, maybe I wouldn't be able to. This was a pretty big deal to me, though, because when, something you've had a license for 16 years, and suddenly it could just maybe go away, and you can't have a job until that's corrected, that is kind of a big deal. At least it was to me. So just, if any of you out there can do that, when something happens, if it is not in your control to change it, it's worth it to try and step back. You may not be able to, I get it, it is not easy to do, but it is worth it to just attempt to take a step back, look at it from the outside, and think about it. Is worrying about it going to do anything? So I just carried on and distracted myself, and ended up having a really nice night, and then I got just great information before the night was even over. So that was my happy little ending. So for right now, we'll move into chapter 3, and this is the law of experimentation. And I wrote some notes down, so I will stop. I'll go over them and things like that. And if you'll notice, a lot of these chapters intermingle with previous chapters because it's saying a lot of the same things in different ways. Sometimes we need to hear something in a different way to have that aha moment of, oh, okay. And that's what I think a lot of this book is. It says very similar things, different things also, but similar things, to where you might be able to, something might stick with you a little bit more in one chapter than maybe another chapter. So with that said, we'll start with chapter 3. And like I said, it's the law of experimentation. And it says, growth is a process of trial and error experimentation. The failed experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiment that ultimately works. And I'm going to stop here because I mentioned this in the last video. I take this basically as the failed experiments. It may not tell you what you want, or may not point you in the direction of you knowing maybe what you need or what you want. But that failed experiment is going to tell you what you don't want or what you don't need. That is half the battle. Even just knowing what you don't want or don't need. It can really serve you well. So I'll continue on. Let's see, what we got here. Okay. We are our biggest critics. We're complicated and contradictory, even in the most extreme times. There's nothing we would like more than comparing with other people. The point is, no one is perfect and everyone fails, including you and including me, including everyone. At least not perfect in the ways that I think we have the ideas of someone should be perfect based on the social media and the things that we're seeing. We have this idea of what we're supposed to act like, look like, be like, and we are just ourselves, and we have to be just be happy with being yourself. And we're constantly looking for approval of other people, and my life changed a lot when I stopped doing that. Is it nice to get approval from someone? Heck yeah! I love when someone says, "Hey, I love your video." But I also take a lot. If someone says they didn't like the video, I can use that. I can use that information. I can use it to improve it. And if it isn't something I agree with, well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and that is what it is. I don't base my own self-worth on if someone approves of me or not anymore. And it took well, my whole life to get there. I'd say after my 40s is when it really kicked in. And it's different for everyone. Some people, it's right out of the gate. You don't need approval. But, there's other people, they're still struggling with it. A lot of people still struggle with it. And again, I know I keep saying social media, but it has a huge impact on people, how we're viewing ourselves, how we're viewing each other. And one of the things I've said before, I've said it, I may have said this in the first video, and talk to yourself like you're talking to a friend or a loved one. Say things to yourself that you would say to someone else, because we say really, really mean things to ourselves. And these are things we wouldn't say to anyone else. We wouldn't say this to someone we didn't like generally. And if you could take one thing away, it's just restructuring your thought process and how you just talk to yourself when on a daily basis. I think you would see a huge difference. So, all right. And mistakes are how we learn. It's painful yet powerful part of life, because how you handle them will define you. Learn from them and allow yourself to become a better person because of them. If you don't, well, then this law sums it up. No one is perfect and everyone fails. Put your self-pity aside, forgive yourself for being human and making mistakes. Your progress to wisdom is a process of experimentation, trial and error, so inevitably things will not always go according to plan or whatever you want. Compassion is a remedy for hard judgment over yourself and others. Forgiveness is not only divine, it is also an act of erasing emotional guilt. So I'm going to stop here for a second, because forgiveness is often misunderstood, and it was by me for many, many years. And I heard this saying, and I don't even know if I have it 100% right. I don't know where I got it from. I can't remember, or I would give credit to where I got it, the person. But when you hold a grudge against someone, or you just want to stay mad, that's almost like you drinking the poison and expecting the other person to get sick. Forgiveness doesn't mean you're saying, "Oh, hey, it's okay that you did that, don't worry about it." That isn't what it means, and it's really difficult to put into words what it is. But for me, what it has come to is, and I don't know why my light keeps doing that. It's really kind of frustrating me. Hold on one second. I just want to see if I can fix the light. I don't know why it keeps going like brighter and darker. Let's see if that works. So, forgiveness for me is really just looking at a situation or something someone did to me, and I just say, you know what? I don't know why you did it. It had nothing to do with me personally. You must have been going through something and felt you needed to do that at that time, and I wish them a good life. I have stopped wishing ill on people. I realize that just doesn't work. or holding on to that anger where every time you think of that situation, you just get that pain or you get that twinge. I don't get those things anymore because I have been able to let things go and forgive. And again, it's a really empowering feeling when you get there. It is not easy. And we feel justified in our anger. We feel justified in all of it for the most part. I know I did. But I shifted my thinking. I changed my perspective. I stopped thinking, why did this happen to me? And it really has made a world of difference. And I hope to speak more to this as time goes on. But I don't want to keep you guys too long. I don't want the video to be too long. You're going to get bored. So let's see. Okay. Things won't always work out the way we want them to, but when they do, the risk will always be worth it. A lot of life is missed from the sidelines, waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, the right moment, the right person. Be daring and be brave. We all have our armor, and it will always be there if you need it. Just be careful not to grab it too soon or leave it on too long. Sometimes the people we meet wear it so much close on the skin that it takes a lot of determination, tenderness, and patience to see what lies beneath it. Sometimes it takes too much. Excessive armor can weaken the wearer, becoming untrusting and cold. Those who receive it will feel that it is personal, but it's not. This results from a heart with great pains. If you're the one wearing the armor too tight, make sure the reasons you're wearing it are still valid and they are not left over from the sadder, lonelier, more painful times. People can't love you if you don't let them in, and that's a hefty price to pay for protecting old wounds. Sometimes you do things that can be monumental. Part of being human is our right to make mistakes from time to time. It's normal, it's important, and it's a part of growing and becoming a better version of yourself. Keep your mistakes and respect your lessons. This is the only way to make sure that the saying does not write you off or does not stop you off in the same way. Whatever you do, devote little time or any amount of time to regret anything. Get up, dust yourself off, move on, and be smarter at what you've learned. And be more proud to move on. The negativity poisons the soul. Do not let unnecessary drama and negativity stop you from being the best that you can be. Avoid drama and focus on what's really important. Life is very short and your time is precious, so don't waste it on trivial things. Let go of the things that weigh you down. As you expand your life, gradually free yourself to respond to the callings of your inner mind. And that's the end of the chapter, and I do want to go back. And I know this is going a little bit longer. I'm going to speak. A friend of mine told me a story, and I think I'm going to talk to her. Maybe even, I don't know. Maybe we can even do like a Zoom call, something like that, because her story was so incredibly inspiring, and for her to be able to pick up and move on was nothing short of amazing. And I think every single person out there could learn from this, because it was hard for me to move on from certain things. It is inspiring to hear that people can do it, and you can get up, you can dust yourself off. And putting that armor on, we do want to protect ourselves if someone hurts us, but if we consistently wear it and we don't let anybody else in because we think someone else is going to do the same thing, first of all, you're already expecting someone to do that. So, yep, there's probably a good chance of it. We're going to get what we expect. It's a whole other topic, law of attraction. But the more negative we tend to think, the more negative things happen to us. And it's really difficult to get out of that sometimes. I get it. But that's a whole different kind of topic, I guess you could say. But the takeaway mainly in this chapter, I think, is just try to think a little bit more positive, be gentle on yourself. We really are too hard on ourselves. And if you want to be hard on yourself in a good way, where, I know I can do better than this, that's different than saying, of course you couldn't do this, or you couldn't do this right. That's different than being encouraging and saying, no, you can do better at this. And that's more of an encouragement, and that's still kind of being hard on yourself, but not in such a negative way. And I'm sure there's a better way to explain that. I guess the words just aren't coming to me right now. But yeah, I mean, talk to yourself like you would someone you cared about. Whether it be a loved one, whether it be a friend who went through the exact same thing. They take a test and they fail. We're probably going to tell ourselves, oh my God, you're so stupid, or of course you didn't pass. What would we tell someone else? We would say, don't worry about it. What did you miss? Learn from that. You're going to get it next time. Those are the things we need to tell ourselves. And it's a really difficult thing to do, because in most cases it's been a lifetime of learning to kind of beat ourselves up. And we need to unlearn that. I'm still unlearning it. I'm still struggling with it. That's one of the reasons I'm doing these books, because they are helping me as much as, well, I hope as much as they're helping, everyone else out there. And I appreciate you listening. So I don't want to keep this any longer than it is. I hope everybody's doing great. I hope you found some value in this. Please put in the comments anything you feel you want. If you want me to discuss something, drop it in the comments. Let me know. If there's a specific topic. It doesn't have to be these books in particular, or this book. I will discuss any topic that you think is going to be beneficial to people out there. If you have a story you want people to know, let me know. We'll talk about that. We'll see how we can get that out there. I don't really want to tell someone's story for them, because it's just not going to come out the same, and I will probably miss details. But if you have a story you want people to know, just let me know. For now, goodbye. Have a wonderful rest of the day. And again, I'm going to try and be a lot more consistent with these, and I'm going to get more of these out. If not daily, maybe every other day. I'll hopefully get these released for you guys. All right? All right. Have a wonderful night. Bye.